Let's check out the new 80s Flying V. Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. In May of the year 2023, Gibson came out with the new 80s Explorer and Flying V. We had just documented the Explorer a couple of days ago. Now it's time to see what's up with the Flying V. I also have a vintage original one with me here today, so we can see some of the differences side by side. But let's see what we're messing with here. Alright, it looks pretty similar. All ebony finish, it's your only color option. You've got the same 80s tribute humbuckers. Pretty much a lot of what I said in that Explorer video is also going to apply to this one, but this actually looks way better than I thought it was going to in person. I love this rosy fretboard that we've got going on here, nice and streaky. And then our interesting headstock. But just like our Explorer friends, there is a history to learn behind the Flying V body shapes before we talk about this one. So the original Flying V, introduced around 1958, looked like this. Korina body, way different than what we're looking at today. It didn't disappear quite as long as the Explorer though, because they brought them back around 1967. That's when they updated the body woods to mahogany, and the whole body shape actually changed. The original 58s have broader shoulders to them, and they were string through. Now we've got either a vibrola tailpiece or a stop bar, and the output jack is incorporated within the regular controls instead of a different circle, and the Flying V goes through a few changes throughout the 70s and 80s, and in 79, just like the Explorers, there is a V2 as well that got a walnut maple sandwich. There's also a CMT version, however, it was named slightly different from the E2 counterpart, so whether or not you count that one or not, it's up to you. And then in 1983, you get the shred metal alder body maple neck versions. And there's a few models since then, but here it is compared to an original. Now this is a Scorpion signature. They don't all have this cool dual color scheme paint job, but side by side, I would say they did a better job at recreating these. The control layout looks close enough to me. We've got the same new 80s humbuckers over here, so it's not the original Dirty Fingers these are typically known for. This was a custom shop edition though, it had Tim Shaw's, and most of them do have the rosewood fretboards, but this is a slightly special example with ebony. Perhaps the biggest change is the headstock. If you look at the 80s ones, you see how rounded it is on all the edges and the top? The new take is pointy on the edges, with a slightly taller headstock. In comparison, the old one looks a lot wider because of those features, but it's still got a similar vibe. I mean, they even went as far as putting the Schaller tip tuners on here. And again, our back control plates are a little bit different. I would say this one's larger than what we've got on this new reissue. And just like the 80s Explorer, these are featuring mahogany bodies and mahogany necks. They're also $24.99, which again is the same price as the 70s Flying V. I don't know, looking at this one, it's a real bare bones guitar. But if you're nostalgic over the 80s Flying V style, they are out here. As far as what you get with it for that price point, obviously, the guitar and a case. It is nice that they opted to give these cases. They could have just gave us a gig bag or something. That's just your standard Flying V case of this era. And as far as our case candy, it's our Gibson strap, multi-tool polishing cloth, baby photo, all your typical Gibson USA stuff. So first impressions, it does seem rather bare bones for what you have to pay to get one of these, but it feels good. It's a nice gloss finish. It's very light, so it's looking promising in that aspect. However, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs, overcheck its quality control, and then plug it in to hear how it sounds. Inside our 80s friend here, let's check out our pickups. It's going to be the exact same that we saw in the Explorer. We get the rhythm 80s in the neck position and lead 80s in the bridge. And within the circuit, this one reads 15.95 k ohms. Our neck position at 7.36 and the middle for fun at 5.03. So a little bit different from the Dirty Fingers that they came stock with in the 80s. Pickup cavity routes are looking pretty similar in here, but we don't have any special markings. Our bridge and tailpiece system, it's just your standard Gibson USA production, lightweight by Advanced Plating Incorporated. Got your Allen key adjustments if you wanted to do that. And we've got a lightweight aluminum tailpiece by the same company. But here you can see your layout, 2 volumes and a master tone, with your toggle switch right here. Output jack located on the front. Now this is a super black gloss finish. It attracts dust. It shows you all the little buffing and polishing swirls. So if you want perfection, just don't buy an ebony finish nitro gloss guitar. Doesn't look like we get to see through to the mahogany body anywhere, maybe in the back control cavity. If you get it in the light just right here, it almost looks like a paint run or something right here, but I'm betting that has something to do with the wood grain underneath.
But moving on from that mahogany body, you've got your mahogany neck with a rosewood fretboard. Similar complaints on this one as the Explorer. It was made back in January, so the frets aren't as shiny as they could have been, but I would say this one's a little bit better, and I just love the board on this. Lots of color. But we have a 24 3/4 inch scale length with the 12-inch fretboard radius and a nut that measures 1.69 inches, 2.08 by the 12th. First fret neck depth 0.81 and by the 12th 0.96. So this neck profile is very different from the Explorer. It's not as wide feeling and it gets just a little bit chunkier up here, but it's definitely still a slim taper. Here's that neck profile at the first fret and the 12th fret. You can see there is a little bit of a flatness to the back of the neck. Moving on to our headstock here, our truss rods are looking great. The cover is blank, and we've got the Gibson decal logo. It looks like the nut was done much better on this one than the Explorer, and the slots seem a little bit better. However, just like the Explorer, all of your mounting screws were over tightened, so they don't actually fully tighten down. It's good enough to keep them in place, but I made sure to check that before I even tore it apart. Moving on to the back, I was scared we wouldn't be able to see the mahogany body, but nope, that is on full display back here. It does look like the wood kind of splintered a bit too much right there, leaving us with an even thinner cavity. But here's what the rest of our wiring looks like. Pretty standard with orange drop capacitors. But here's another change. Look where our strap button is. It's right over here on the side. Then your other one is right here at the base of the heel. Vintage Originals also have one right there, but their other button is at the bottom of the bass side horn. But other than that, nothing too crazy to talk about on the back. Back of the neck, similar story. It's just a straight up ebony finish until we get to our headstock where we can see the Made in USA stamp, as well as a vertical serial number dating it to late December of 2022. Initial batch number 221 stamped that particular day. And we've got our Grover tuners with the Schaller tips. Looks like these tuners are fairly straight. This one maybe just a tad bit crooked, but nowhere near as crazy as that Explorer. All said and done, this one weighs 6 pounds, 0.6 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how it sounds. First off here, yeah, the new strap button locations work great. It's not neck heavy, and it's really light on the strap. Alright, really digging that middle position on this one. Neck is great too. That's gonna shine with some dirt.
Now that we know all about the new 80s Flying V model, what are my final thoughts on this thing? Kind of like the Explorer. Doesn't look like that much on spec sheets, and it's kind of a letdown if you were really hoping for an alder body maple neck version to help differentiate it between what's already on the market. However, it's these pickups. Had these pickups not been absolutely fantastic sounding, this would have been a complete flop. So we've got that saving grace here. These are fantastic. I would suggest trying one of these. They're very lightweight. They've got the look of the 80s versions, but they have just slightly taller frets, slightly thicker neck profiles, which in my opinion makes them more comfortable to play. Definitely not for everybody, but if you're nostalgic over the 80s Flying Vs and you want something that's brand new that you can make your own, I think these definitely serve that market. However, I don't think they're going to be huge sellers for Gibson, but I'm glad they're here, but I really hope in the future we get the proper body woods on like maybe a limited run release. Because I get it, getting some alder in for Gibson just for these things probably would have been difficult. So, Troglodytes, let me know your thoughts on the new Flying V and Explorers. We've documented both of them now, and we will catch you guys tomorrow on the next episode. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.